Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt. I started a little company called Punk Rock Plastics, where I'm turning like recycled materials into small toys, and I also make custom like action figures and stuff. So today, I wanted to show you guys how I make these like bike spoke charms. If you remember these in the 90s, they were really big. You stick them on the spokes of the wheel of your bicycle. Here's one right here that I made, and I know it's kind of hard to see. He's a little orange skull, and I made him out of a Gatorade cap. And today I'm gonna show you how I did that. So my wife likes to drink this kombucha stuff. I think it tastes terrible, but it's cool because they have these plastic caps on here, and this is made from usually HDPE, which is high density polyethylene, which is like what milk cartons are made of, and you can usually like feel it. It's usually like a pretty, it's like bendable but still a really tough plastic, and I like to melt this into molds and turn them into stuff. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm using today is this old, it's like from 1966 or 64, I think. See, it's a skull mold. Yeah, that there's a pretty good view of that right there. It's like an old Creepy Crawlers mold, or it might not be Creepy Crawlers, I don't know exactly, but it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna turn this into this, and then I'll show you what I do to make the little prongs on the back so that it's able to be clamped on to a bike spoke. So you're gonna want to get yourself a toaster oven. I think I got this for like $10 or $5 at a like a resale store, kind of like a Goodwill we have here. And then what you're gonna do is start heating that bad boy up. Usually I think it's around like 350 is when the HDPE starts to melt. This one doesn't even have a temperature gauge on there, but I know that it works. So it's a little loud too. So then what you do, I like to do it, I take the cap and I put it on here and I place that in the oven. Just like that. I put some tin foil under there so nothing falls down and sticks. And just, there you go, position that a little better. Okay, now we wait, and it usually takes about like 3 minutes to really start melting it down in there. So I know it's kind of hard to see because the little screen is foggy, but see, you can see the plastic is starting to melt. Oh, you can hear the train out there. So what you want to do while it's doing that is you want to constantly monitor it, and you want to start kind of taking like either like I have this spoon that I use here, and I'll push it down into the mold with a metal spoon, or I take like just like a regular pair of like tweezers like that, and I'll just kind of move it around. One thing too, while we're waiting for this, is like make sure you have a really thick pair of like gloves like this. Like these are like canvas and leather, and this will really come in handy because you will get burned, trust me. As you can see, it's just kind of melting all around it, so I just kind of take my spoon and mush it around. Also, wear a mask usually so you're not breathing in the plastic fumes. I seem to be breathing in a lot of plastic fumes, but I think that's what's keeping me from catching the coronavirus. Pretty sure that's how science works. So yeah, you just kind of mush it in there. I'm gonna put it back in to keep melting, and just kind of pressing it in there, making sure it's good and smushed all the way in there so that it takes the total shape of the skull. Okay, so basically I kept warming it up and taking it out and putting it back in, taking it out and putting it back in. So, and then I just kind of mush it all together around the shape with my tweezers. You can see it hardens really fast. You have to work quick with HDPE, and it is really strong. So yeah, I keep mushing it to the center. So you get like, I don't know if you can see it, but you almost get like some height there to it. So you're gonna want that, because what we're gonna do is shape it so that like this height here, I know it's kind of hard to see. Okay, so like this height here, those will become the little prongs that snap onto the bike spoke. So now that our plastic has cooled down a little bit, you're gonna want to like take your tweezers and try to pry it out. So we'll see how that goes. There we go. That wasn't so bad. Oh, cool. Cool. So this one had like a little plastic insert inside of the cap, so that actually melted around the skull, and that looks really cool. So now what we're gonna do is take care of all this extra stuff around it. It's called flash, and I do that by using like an electric grinder. So I'll show you that in a second. So this is my bench grinder. It is on the floor because I don't have any room left on my workbench at the moment. So I'm gonna take this, and then we're gonna use the wheel here, the grinder, to grind out all that extra flash around our piece, and kind of get it to the desired shape. So I'm gonna have to put the camera down for a bit to do this because I do not own a tripod, but I'll show you kind of the basic gist of it. Cool, so now we have got our skull down to kind of like the basic shape. As you can see, there's all this extra stuff on here, like all the little pieces that got grinded off are still kind of attached. So what I like to do is now use the wire wheel part of my grinder, and I go in and I kind of refine everything and smooth it all out with the wire wheel. So I'll show you a little bit of that. This thing is loud. So now our piece is a lot more refined. I mean, we're still gonna have to go back and refine it a little bit after this part, but see all this extra stuff in the back of it? So here's the really stupid part, and my wife probably would kill me if she saw me doing this. But, so, I'm going to place this back in the mold. All right? Right back into its shape. Then I'm going to take my little torch I have here, and what I'm going to do is heat up part of a spoke that I have. See, I have like a bicycle spoke right here. I'm going to heat that up, and I'm going to press it into the back of the skull so that we make that, we almost like make the clamp. We make it part of the skull, just like by melting it in there. That's what's really cool about plastic, is you can just melt it in all these different shapes, and if you screw up, you can remelt it back. I love it. I love working with plastic. So I'm going to do that now. Hopefully I'm able to get on camera with my other hand the pressing into the back of the skull. So give me a moment. Got my lighter. See how ugly that looks? We're gonna go ahead and clean that up with either an X-Acto knife, or I just use my box cutter here. Works pretty good with the HDPE. It's got like a good handle. And what you want to do before you start doing that is place it back into your mold before you start trying to cut pieces off so it doesn't slip, because small items like this, it'll slip, and I don't want anybody to cut themselves in there. But you can see how it formed to the shape of the spoke in there, and we're just going to clean it up and make it look nice, and it should clamp. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. Now that we melted that little piece in there, it still doesn't look very pretty, but you're going to want to test a couple of times. So, because there's like, I'm testing on a BMX bike, and those spokes are a little bit thicker than like a gear bike, but I'm just going to show you what I mean. So hold on. You can see then this is going to go right on there. Clamps on. That ain't going nowhere. This HDPE is awesome, and it spins. And you have yourself a neat little spoke charm. Yeah. So I'm just going to clean it up a little bit, and I will show you the final result there. All right, so here's the finished product. I think that looks really, really cool. That was from the cap of the kombucha drink, and it was cool because like I said before, there was like a little tiny blue plastic piece, and that melted on top of the white plastic, and I just think that is a really, really neat look. And here's the back of it all cleaned up. I know it still kind of looks nasty, but it holds on the spoke really, really well. So yeah, that's it. Leave comments below. I'm sure you guys are a lot smarter than me and probably figured out a way better and easier way to do this, but this is how I do it. And if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Thanks, guys. See you.